All right, guys, we're back and we're ready to address this issue with this Bobcat. I was driving it the other day, moving some of these rocks, and it just quit on me. Quit right in its tracks. Wouldn't move. Started to back up, ran for a second, killed again. So it was acting like it wasn't getting fuel. So the battery's good. Came back here, opened it up. First thing I looked at was this primer bulb down here that would suck fuel up out of the tank into the engine, and there's nothing in there. I can actually hear air in the fuel tank when I pump it, so that right there leads me to believe that it's a fuel issue. So I got on YouTube and looked at a few things. Everything points towards the pickup tube. There's a little tube inside the fuel tank with a screen on the end of it that sucks the fuel out of the tank into the fuel line and I guess into the engine. So, but the first thing you'd want to look at is if you have fuel. I guess the number one first thing you'd look at, how much fuel do we have? Okay, that gauge says full. When it quit on me, it said 3/4, but just in case the gauge was not working, I put another few gallons into it, and looks like we topped her off. So I know there's fuel in it. The battery is good. That primer bulb, there's no fuel in it, so it's got to be a fuel issue. So to access the pickup tube, the top of the fuel tank, you have to take you have to lift the cab, so there's one nut there, one bolt there. Take off that nut, one bolt there. There's little square washers and the nuts. Just untighten those. Just 2 bolts. And then you can lift the cap. Alright, and then there's an arm right there that kind of holds it up in place. But because I don't do this very often and then my head is going to be way back there, I'm gonna put a ratchet strap up so that it doesn't come crashing down on me for any reason. Okay, got it strapped up so it won't squash me like a bug. It's Jackson. So let's dive in and show you what we got going. So way back here, there's a line right there that goes in the top of the fuel tank, and that's what we'll be replacing. So let's see if I can prop up the flashlight here. So they're just held in with little rubber grommets, they're called. Let's see. There we go. So I just took a little pry bar just like that with a little angle on it. Got underneath it, popped it open. I already have it off. So I wanted to make sure that's what the issue was. You can look at it, and there should be a tube, maybe 8 to 10 inches long, coming off of that into the fuel tank. You can see that part of it's still on there, but the rest of it corroded off. So, oh, you can see my fuel tank is full too. Okay, so I need to pull that off and get the new one assembled and ready to pop in. All right, I ended up having to cut the line because the sucker wouldn't come off of there, but this is that 90 piece that I just pulled out. Here's the rubber grommet, the old one, and here's what I picked up. There's a new piece here, a screen. This is what you drop in first into the tank. It's a screen for a filter, and it's got a check valve in it, so the fuel can only go up into the line and not drain back in. And then a new grommet just in case this one looks all right, but might as well just get all new if we're going to be diving into it. So these parts right here, these were like $20 for these, and then this guy was another 30, so 50 bucks total. Not bad when you're talking about getting parts and working on a machine. And 50 bucks, I'll take that, I guess. Take that all day probably. So I want to see how long this tube, you gotta get the specs on it and measure it and cut it specifically for this machine. So I want to see how long that is. That is exactly 12 1/4 inches. So just FYI, I guess. So I'm going to assemble this, and then we'll drop her in and see if we can get her started. Okay, this is what she looks like now. Put the screen on one end of the tube with this little clamp. They weren't going to send me with any clamps. I had to ask for them, and I guess I realized why. Boy, that's a nice, tight, snug fit. Probably would have been fine without it, but it helps ease the mind a little bit. They recommend not putting one on the top here, because when this grommet slides over, if that clamp was there, it might damage the grommet, might get snagged on it. So, and there again, that is a super tight fit. I don't think it's going to come off. So I'm going to keep the grommet down a little bit and install it, and then push this guy down and rehook the fuel line up. Okay, let's see if I can do this one-handed here. So I'm going to get the screen in first. Okay, slip this guy in, push that rubber grommet into the hole. Okay, push this guy down. There we go. Okay, rehook up this fuel line. There, I might need 2 hands for this one. Maybe not. Maybe. Forgot to mention that all roads didn't lead to this right away, this problem. They said to check the fuel lines, see if there was any cracks in them, check the clamps, make sure they were all tight. After you check all of that and eliminate a few other things, this is how I got to this. This wasn't, you know, it didn't shoot me right to this instantly, so just wanted to mention that. Okay, I'm gonna pull that fuel line up a little tighter and put that clamp on. It's on back here. Resecure that clamp, and then we'll go to the back and prime the bulb. Okay, got everything pushed on. Another tight fit on that hose over that elbow. But got that pushed on. Put the clamp back on, tighten that up. I wanna make sure that it's sitting flat. And it looks like it is, so let's go to the back and see if we can get her going. Alright, I'm at the back of the machine. Let's see if we can squeeze that primer bulb, if we can get anything coming. Okay, remember in the last video when I said I wasn't a mechanic? Well, I proved that. So I thought that this line right here where the light's on was the correct tube, but apparently that's the return tube. So I put all my stuff on that as if it was the intake tube, and I was wrong. The other one was over here, up a little higher in a much tighter spot. This hole right here is this hose that I had to get out of the way. This first hole with the one back behind right there is where I need to put my parts that I bought. So, boy, it is tight back there. Okay, now that I changed out the correct side, the primer bulb is filling instantly. So I get a screwdriver. So a few pumps and that's pretty tight. So we need to loosen this little bleeder screw above the fuel filter. Let out that air. Pump it a few more times. Now let's start shooting fuel. Tighten it back up. Let's see, there's a little knob up here. Loosen that up. Pump it a few more times. Get any additional air out of the line. 3. I'll pump it, I don't know, 6, 7 times.
7.
6, 7.
7.
Tighten that back up. Okay, that's nice and tight. I'm gonna drop the cab and see if it starts. Down here. Yep, so for future reference, that is the return tube. That is the correct tube that takes the fuel from the tank through the fuel filter into the engine. Okay, anything else in here? I don't think so. Okay, there's Bluey. My son put Bluey in here when he was riding with me, so he usually lives in here. He forgot to take him out, so he just always rides next to me. Makes you feel like a man. All right, now I gotta go move some trash into that garbage pit. But first, don't forget to put the nuts back on, these washers.